Hello there. Thank you so much for joining me. This is Health, Wealth, and Happiness Mastery Training. 5 powerful ways to make next year your best year. It was quite a while ago. I think it was High Performance Academy, where I was at sitting in the audience, and Brendan Burchard, the founder of High Performance Academy, certified high performance coaching, master coach, all these things, said to us, what will it take to make next year your best year? Best year in health, best year in relationships, best year in all these different areas, right? I was blown away. It was really the first time that I ever heard that sort of ambition. My job here today is this. It's to help you from wherever you're at, whatever relationships you have, however you feel in terms of your energy, wherever you're thinking you need to go, and you're like, how am I going to get there? It's to help you and support you, care for you, take care of you, direct you, challenge you. That's the coach in me. Love on you. Just be there for you. And I want to make sure we set that right out of the gate. So many people that I've had the honor working with are like, Char, you're the only person who I can talk to openly, non-judgmentally, and really go after good conversation toward the betterment of me. And I always ask the betterment of me helping others. Because in line of what we teach in the realm of high performance, and as you may know, I'm a certified high performance coach, work through this beautiful framework. We talk about the high performance planner, these kind of things, helping people really go after full engagement, joy, confidence for their entire life, consistently, for the long term. And that's my job. And what I got clear on, about 1,000 sessions in a few years ago, I think I coached over 3,700 sessions now over the last 9 years, or 8 years, whatever that is this. A lot of people don't have somebody in their life that talks more about growth, more about ambition, more about dreams, more about desires, more about goals than gossip, blame, excuse, denial. So if you need somebody in your life that talks like that helps you, supports you, I'm here for you. I want to make sure you know that as soon as we start. So this training is everything for you to think through a lot of frameworks that come from some high performance, some of my own, to really help you assess, review, reflect, and take action. And we're going to break it down for you so it doesn't feel overwhelming in a way that you feel better as you progress through the next year. So if you do not have your notes out, please get your notes out. If you have any distractions, like buzzers, beeps, phones, whatever that is, turn them off. Just put them away so that we can have a really good journey together and I can really help you down a proven path that will make you feel so incredibly good. Feel good about, oh my gosh, didn't realize these things, but also feel good about now I have an action plan that I can go after. And Charlie helped me break it down in a way where it seems doable, manageable, and I'm going to see some change right away. That's my goal for you. It's just to see some change right away. To just try one thing where we'll determine as we go through this work today that you have a very clear idea of where you need the most work, and we'll break that down for you. How's that sound? Sound good? Thank you so much for being here. So, health, wealth, and happiness, mastery, going after creating the next year to be your best year. That being said, I always like to start, and I learned this as I've been building content and learning how to build content. I like to start big picture. And if you haven't been with us before, you don't know, I start with these 5 P's. Like, why are we going after being our best in life? And even in business, right? First P is to feel purposeful in life. Typically, the people I work with, they feel purposeful when they're helping other people somehow. Usually in 2 realms. One is helping them improve their lives somehow, making their lives better, through a process or through a situation, or just talking to them, that's purposeful. The other is helping people grow their business somehow. A lot of the entrepreneurs I work with. So if you can do both like I do, you're helping improve people's lives while you're helping people grow their business. It's like, whoa, it's amazing, right? So I'd love for you to write down the first P, purposeful. And I'd love for you to assess as we think about the next year. I'd love for you to assess this last year and say, how purposeful have I felt in the last year in the idea of what I just shared? Improving other people's lives, growing businesses. Some people, they're purposeful in improving their kids' lives because they're a stay-at-home parent. And their job is the beautiful blessing of creating, maintaining, loving on, really growing a legacy. And that legacy is their children. That's how I view it. My girls, beautiful girls, 15, 17, they're my legacy. They're the only real thing I'm going to leave on this planet, right? And they're going to forward that legacy and forward that legacy through generations. If they decide to have kids, I'm not pushing on them. But that's the idea. So I just want to make sure we start right out of the gate. We're looking back to see how purposeful we felt. And if you want to rate this common coaching move, 0, I haven't felt purposeful at all. 10, I've been incredibly purposeful. I feel purpose every day. Somewhere in between, what is that for you? If it falls below an 8, as you think about the future, what can I do on a daily basis to feel more purposeful? Does that make sense? I hope it does. So powerful. Next up, passion. My second P. How passionate have you felt in the last year as you reflect back? Emotionally engaged, enthused. You know, sometimes the opposite of passion is like, I feel like it's a routine in my day. I feel like I get up, go through the routine, repeat, don't really have any emotional connection to the day, and I'm not even enthused about the day. I'm just like, oh, when's Friday going to be here? And then the weekend comes and it's kind of like you have some enthusiasm and passion. Not so much. Passionate people, they're like, oh my gosh, Monday's here. I'm in. Let's go. I cannot wait to get out, serve, help, do what I do. Like, they love Mondays. The high performers love Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, every day, because they go in with control, command, and they have a direction, and they're clear about who they want to be. They're purposeful. All these things kind of stack. So what is that for you in the last year, 0 to 10, on the passion scale? How enthused and passionate have you been? And we'll give you context as we go through this bubble about the different areas of your life. But I really just want to assess this, because here's what we know. You assess where was the passion last year, if there was any? How can I bring more of it into the next year to make it my best year? To feel purposeful and passionate on a daily basis. That may be a stretch for you. I get it. A lot of people I work with are like, I could never be in that zone like you are. I'm like, it took me years to get here. Years to live into just being with you. I get the chills just seeing you here. Being in this moment with you. Having this conversation. Knowing I'm living into these. And I'm feeling incredibly enthused about this. Does that make sense? So I'd love for you to assess last year, passionate, 0 to 10. 0, none. 10, owned it. Somewhere in between, that's fine. And then what, if you want to take a note, what is it for next year that you're going to do to feel more passion? And I would challenge you to think about that on a daily basis. Any ideas? Oh, it's getting good, isn't it? Next, positive, joyful. When we think about the big picture, why we're doing what we're doing and why we're on this planet, it is to bring joy. It is to be engaged. It is to feel confident. So I'd love for you to think about, over the last year, how joyful have you felt overall? 0, no joy. No joy at all. And I'm sorry if that's your situation, but you got a friend now who will help you. That's me. I'll take care of you. I promise. 10, owning joy. Maybe it's somewhere in between for you. But what I really want to make sure of as we go along this theme is, what are you going to do in the next year to bring more joy? So I'm going to give you a quick illustration. With my girls and I, we're really going to play board games more consistently, have movie nights with popcorn, go in the park, go down to the beach, go to some of the restaurants and experiences we love, and we're going to really work to schedule more of it. Does that make sense? Because here's what I know, one of our high performance themes, if it's not in the schedule, it's just a dream. Write that down. If it's not in the schedule, it's just a dream. You know, if you don't put time, energy, and effort into blocking out time, creating a vision, strategy, and plan, we'll talk about that. Really, really powerful. I hope this is helping so far. How are we doing? Is any of this working for you? I hope it is, because I think it's freaking on point. And I just want to make sure I'm taking care of you, helping you see what's possible. My job on this planet, my purpose, is to help you from where you're at to where you want to be, with an asterisk, knowing that you may not know where you want to be because you haven't thought that big. My job is to help you think bigger. In life, in business, and online. Those are my 3 realms. 32 years now in business and online. And then in the life work since 2000. So I don't know, where are we at? 20 years-ish? Really critical, you know this. And I would love for you to be able to just pop your purpose out. And if you want to do that work, I'm so blessed to be a certified high performance coach. I'm so blessed to have a lot of certified high performance coaches in my circles that are willing to help you. If I can't help you, they can. Really critical, you know you have support, love, care with people who are growth minded around your better future. Remember, coaching is about creating a better future for you, those you care for, love, and serve. You follow? I know I'm throwing a lot at you. I hope you're following. I hope you're loving this. Fourth P, productivity. And when we talk productivity from a high performance perspective, what we're talking about is going after and knowing, actually, having clarity, knowing your life's ambitions, your life's goals. Sometimes people are like, you mean like a bucket list? Fine, yeah. Going after that consistently while handling with exceptional world-classness, is that a word? Your responsibilities, your priorities. So every day you have a certain set of things you got to do, but on top of that, in the high performance space, you're clear on your life's work, your life's ambitions, and you're going after that too. Like, break it down for you real quick, something we teach in high performance. You have a time block set aside, maybe it's 50 minutes, maybe it's 20 minutes, to write that book every morning. And you're diligent, consistent over the long term about it. You follow? Is that a lot for you? So I'd love to know, in context of what I just shared, in the last year, how have you done with your productivity? 0, don't have any. 10, crushing it somewhere in between. And then we're going to ask that question as we think about our theme today. What is it going to take in the next year for you to go after having your best year in from a productivity perspective? Any thoughts? Do you want to write that book, develop that online course, build your monthly membership program, maybe get that job, maybe change careers, maybe reassess some of the stuff you're doing? A lot of people in the world of productivity, we talk about distractions and competing interests and getting rid of those. So learning to say no is a big thing. Maybe that's a thing for you, is to learn to say no so you're not so overwhelmed, tired, wiped out when you come home. Any of these things are striking a chord with you. I've helped hundreds of people through this. So feel free, down below you can see there's a high performance coaching application. And we got a couple paths for you so you can get going right away if this is something you want to really own in the next year, so you can make it your best year ever. That's my job, that's my goal, that's my dream for you. Best year ever. Isn't that a great ambition? 5th P, profitability. In the context for health, wealth, and happiness, essentially that means this. You can cover your break-even expenses, and you know what those are. You have fun and adventure money every month, and you're saving for the future and or paying down debt. Those 3 critical areas. Got my bills covered, have money above and beyond that to have fun with, and I'm saving, for the future while even paying down debt, whatever that is. That's the piece to this. So I'd love for you to assess, as this is the theme today, in the last year, how are you doing in that realm? 0, you've been bleeding cash, running up credit cards, you're in a whole world of hurt. And if you're in that world of hurt and you want some help getting out, I'm your guy there. Would love to help you like I've helped hundreds of people over the last, in the entrepreneurial space over the last 30 years, get out of debt through building online programs, building online websites, all these different things that I've done. In the personal side, kind of help you reframe some behaviors, stuff like that. Big part of high performance. Now, I want you to assess for the next year. What are you going to have to do behaviorally to shift, to be even more profitable, to keep expenses lean, know what those are, to have that money, to have fun with, but also to save for the future. David Bach teaches you should be saving at the highest level. If you're doing incredibly well, especially in your 20s, 30s, 40s, you should be saving 25% of your income. That could go into an IRA, a Roth IRA, something like that, and in an investment, something along those lines, or investing it in like properties, stuff like that. 25%. So if you want something to aim for, that's a thought. So that all being said, this is the big picture why. Why are we on this planet? Why are we doing what we do? These 5 P's I've developed over the years, kind of just compiled them, put them in order. Purpose, passion, positivity, productivity, profitability. The beautiful part is when you line up these 4 and you're clear about what you offer the world, meaning what you sell to the world, profitability can happen automatically. Because here's what I know, so many people that I've coached in the entrepreneurial space, they say, Charly, my business is in the tank. And I look at their energy, and their energy's in the tank. They've lost their passion, their drive, they're not clear on what they're offering. It's usually one of those or all of those. And I'm like, what do we got to do to get your energy back, to go after this? You follow? So if any of this is resonating with you, would love to hear. Go ahead and comment, because we're doing an Amazon gift card giveaway if you're watching this training in its premiere on whatever date it is at 10:30 a.m. Eastern. I don't know what the day is, it's November. But if you're watching that training, if you're watching this training in our premiere, boom, you're going to be rewarded. The person who provides the most value, the most input, the most comments gets rewarded with a gift card. Second, up, a little less of a gift card. Third, a little less. And I might do even a couple more. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how people respond and react. Thank you so much for being here. This ends the big picture perspective part of our work today. Now we're going to dive into the actual training, where I'm helping you think this through, giving you more illustrations, more ways to kind of come at it. And the first thing I'm going to start with is the life, what we call in high performance, the life arenas. And so I've shortened them down a little bit from what we teach in high performance, just because I want to make sure it's a little simpler for you to think through. So another set of things to assess how you've been doing in the last year, and then to think about what you want to change or grow or do in the upcoming year to make it your best. First part of the life arenas in this bubble is self. So when you assess how you're doing mentally, emotionally, physically, like exercise, your energy, just when you get up, are you good? You ready to go? Let's take this day on? Or is it like, oh. Has in the last year that gone up or down? So I'd like to, if you draw this out, draw a little green arrow if it's gone up. For me, it's definitely gone up. I feel a lot better today than I did at the beginning of the year. Primarily because I'm eating a little cleaner and I'm doing 15,000 steps a day. I'm doing sprints where I go and I run full out and then I walk, run full out, walk. High intensity training is kind of what that's called. These things are really helping me, but in a stack. Getting good sleep, we're going to go over that stuff in a minute. So when you think about yourself, how you feel energetically, emotionally, mentally, physically, how are you doing now as opposed to a year ago? So now what I want to do is flip this to the future. What is it that needs to pivot or change to feel better? I would dare say, have your best year in your next year for you, emotionally, mentally, physically. Anything come up? Take some notes. Write that down. So a couple illustrations for you. A lot of people I work with are like, dude, I got to get my sleep. So we'll just skip over to these 10 areas. The first area, and this is what I teach in my 10-day health, wealth, and happiness challenge. It's the 10 things I dialed in to go from 275 pounds, which is what I was. And I think I have a picture of that somewhere. Let's see, right here. Can you believe that? 275 pounds, that's me. I feel like the Nutty Professor. There's my face, you kind of can see it, but I had hair then too, so you know. But the idea is, I dialed some things in. The biggest part is I kept the weight off. July 25th, 2012. Got below 200 pounds for the first time in 20 some years, kept it off. These are the 10 things that I did in order to really dial it in. And kind of think of it this way, self goes into this. Like if you were to dive into self, these are 10 ways to sort of assess yourself and be your best self. So we'll go into those in just a little bit, but I just want to give you a sensation of ways to sort of measure, ways to report out, ways to think about others who have generated results in feeling better for themselves, including me. So I hope you know I'm talking from a results perspective. It's incredibly important to me that you know what I'm sharing here is all from realized results. I'm not just like, hey, here's some great ideas that you should try. This is stuff that's actually worked for me and dozens of others. You follow? I know this stuff can be heavy duty, but thank you so much for being here. As I've said, my job here is to take care of you, help you, challenge you, that's the coach in me, make sure that you're feeling unconditionally loved as we move towards this next year, making it our best year ever. So assess yourself. You may use numbers if you want, or just an arrow. In the last year, self, where I'm at now versus the beginning of the year, not doing better. Maybe it's a down. Maybe it's a red arrow down. Mine's a green arrow up. Told you why. Next area is love. And basically, this means your significant other, if you have one. And if you don't, that's totally fine. No judgment. Just love of life. Cool. So if you look back over the last year, how have you felt about love? You starving for love? Or you filled with love? You have a good loving connection with your significant other? How's that going? And that has been good. We're working on making it even better and really going after some pivots there. So we'll be talking that through probably in the next few months as to what's changing in my world in that regard. But I just want to make sure you're thinking about this. So assess the last year and really own what that is for you. A lot of people will report, if I think about a year ago versus now, I think we're in a rut. My love and I, meaning that we go out and it's like we're on our phones, we're not paying attention to each other. So their direction, their goals, they think about having their best year in the next year is to bring more presence, engagement, leave the phones at home, go out and have date nights, but really assess where they like to go for the best experience and what that night or day or weekend can look like. Does that all make sense? Anything there for you? Good stuff, isn't it? Oh, I love this. I'm just sharing the results of what's worked for the people that I've coached. And I hope you're sensing it. I want to make sure you have some illustrations and all these little life bubbles. Next up is relationships in general. So outside of your significant other and your relationship with yourself, in your friends, your family, any groups you're involved in, if you're involved in a church, if you're involved in organizations, the relationship quality. Has the relationship quality with the people you've been around gone up, stayed even, or gone down in the last year? And for me, that has definitely gone up. If you want some qualification there, think about having growth friends. This word blows people away sometimes if they don't think about it this way. So growth friends are people that support you, are talking about their ambitions. They're talking about things like a conversation with a growth friend goes like this. Hey, Char, what you up to? I know you're working on this thing. Can you share with me how that's going? Can I help you in any way? Because I'm working on this too, and here's what I'm doing. Do you mind if I tell you a little bit about it? And then we get this good conversation going. Here's what a growth conversation is not. Hey, Char, this person in my life, they stink. They are effing da-da-da-da-da-da, and blah, 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 blah. It's loaded with blame, excuse, denial, gossip, negativity, selfishness, not selflessness. We talked about this in a previous training. So if you really want to dive deep on that, I got a previous training on really qualifying what a great relationship is for you, what are the qualities, traits, characteristics. And I'll make sure to link to that below so you can get into it if you want to. I'm going to keep that on YouTube indefinitely because that training was so good. It's part of our monthly program, but I'm going to keep it on YouTube because that's where we debut it so people can watch it as it's rolled out. But I just want to make sure you have some context for creating, building, and maintaining great relationships. Your job right now, though, is to assess in the last year how you've been doing in relationships and whether you're feeling better about them or they're worse today than they were a year ago. Green arrow up, red arrow down, black straight line. Just being, they're just kind of hanging in there. Just not going better, not going worse. And then the desire for the next year as you make it your best, what are you going to do to create, build, and maintain, and I'll say exceptional relationships? What comes to mind for you? Any ideas? Some people are like, I don't even know where to find these people. Well, guess what? You found one. I'm right here. So reach out to me. Maybe we can get something going, talk about it. If you're in a certain area, I'll help you kind of find people who are of the growth mindset. We got them all over the world. A lot of the high performers I've coached, a lot of the people in the high performance world, a lot of people in Brendan Burchard's world, this massive space, if you will. He's coached, trained, taught millions of people around the world over the last 10 years, I think. It's crazy. And generally, if you're in that circle of people, they're people who are of that growth mindset. So it's kind of cool. Not always, but generally. Next area, your mission. This is basically what you're doing in the world to receive money. You're doing work in the world. And I always say mission. We say it in high performance that way because we're living into this stuff and hopefully generating profit, creating income. So what's going on there for you in the last year? Is the work you're doing better now than it was a year ago? Is your attitude going into work better now than it was a year ago? Any thoughts on that? Green arrow up, red arrow down, dash if it's the same. For me, absolutely up. Love what I do, love being here with you. One of my many things that I do, taking care of you through this training, those kind of things. Job is this, assessing last year and then thinking about the next year. To make it your best, what are you doing in your work to really go after bigger dreams, goals, ambitions? I don't know if your work is helping other people or growing other businesses, those two big buckets, but how can you do that with more impact? If that's your desire, your goal. Anything there for you? I'm working with a couple people. Yelena, shout out to you. Leading the chain, we're creating this whole scorecard and curriculum and all this stuff so she can go out and help people make bigger impact. So I love, love, love the work she's up to, and helping her is such an honor. We've been friends since 2014 CHPC, Certified High Performance Coaching Week, and she's just crushing it. So next up is contribution. And this one is where you're doing things not necessarily tied to income, but helping the world somehow, maybe volunteering. And this one for me is flat, and that's something I have to work on. So I'm going to put just a dash there. Basically, contribution is where you're dedicated time per week, per month, or online, whatever it is. And it's usually time resource, not money resource. But it can be money. But you're putting time, energy, and effort into, nonprofits that you believe in, organizations, those kinds of things. Anything there for you? So when you look back over last year, how's that been going? For me, flatline. For next year, to really make it your best year, what are you doing to help the world somehow? Just putting your time, your sweat equity in, whatever that is. Maybe Habitat for Humanity. Maybe being a big brother with big brothers, big sisters. Whatever that is there anything there for you? I hope you're sensing, as we're going through all this, how there's huge ambition and just ideas and illustrations for you to have your best year ever. I'm so excited for you. Love being here with you. Rocking this time together. Owning it. Last bubble. Spirit. For some people, this is religion. For others, including me, this is more along the lines of being out connected to the universe, being outside, being in nature, reflection, rejuvenation, meditation, in nature, connecting with my spirit. Definitely up. I've spent a lot of time understanding what it is for me to feel satiated in the land of spirit. And it is definitely being outside. It's definitely reflecting, being quiet, watching just the beauty of what happens on this beautiful planet on a day-to-day basis. Incredibly blessed that I live where wildlife's moving around all year long, down in Florida, and I'm able to see it in the birds and the trees right in a park next to where the studio is. I'm able to go and walk the beach. That really connects me to my spirit. So as you think about the last year, how have you been doing? Are you even aware of what makes you feel connected to something bigger? And are you taking action on it? If you're going to have your best year ever next year, what does that look like? What do you need to connect with your spirit more frequently? For some, like I said, it's church, and they're in service, and they're helping others through that. Others, it's connected to nature. Others, it's certain organizations and groups. So whatever that is for you, my challenge for you is to think about it. Maybe do some due diligence to figure out what those things could be if you're not sure. And if you need some help there, comment below or ask. Would love to know. So, participation time. Of all these areas, what's the one area you need to just double down on, commit to for the next year to make it your best year? Like the area you're the weakest in, that you're like, you know what, I gotta just 10x this. Double down, whatever you want to call it, however you want to describe it, I gotta go after it. So how did we do so far? Has this given you some thoughts, some ideas, some new maybe actions to take? Some new goals to set? Now, if there's a lot of stuff there, I'm going to go through an exercise at the end where we whittle it down and break it out for you. So don't worry. Do not worry. Cool? All right, we're going into part 2 now, and this is the 10 areas. We already covered the first one. So I want you to assess as we walk through these 10 areas. This is part of my 10-day health, wealth, and happiness challenge. This goes in deeper than this. This was kind of the big broad scope, right? The big broad strokes. This is like using a fine tune or a fine tipped brush. This is just getting in there and like the finished carpentry work on you and your being. Cool? So first place, first situation. In the last year, how have you done 0 to 10 with getting good quality rest overall? And for me, that's a 9. And that was not the case even 10 years ago. I was a night owl. I was getting, 3 to 6 hours of sleep. The idea though is we're getting 7 to 9 hours, depending on what your body needs, and we're doing it consistently, and it's good quality sleep. If that number is below an 8, we got to make it your best year ever next year. What are we going to change for you to really elevate that? Any ideas? Really critical we get that dialed in. If you need help there, comment. I'll send you some ideas. I can send you some resources. Really go after it. In my 10-day health, wealth, and happiness challenge, which I'll also link to below, you'll be able to get in and see what I've done to really get that sort of structure in play and all those kind of things. I love that. I love how the first day is sleep and I film it in the master bedroom. And I'm talking about MTV Cribs, like this is where the magic happens, and it truly is where the magic happens. Kind of funny. I thought it was hilarious. Next up, hydration. And meaning you're drinking 2 to 3 to 4 liters of water a day, depending on your lifestyle. Maybe a gallon of water a day. And that for me is a 9. Consistently over the last year, every day. So like for me, I have my insulated water bottle. I always have it, well, not always, but I try to always have it full. And I love this because it keeps water cold all day long, and I love cool water. So that's the scene. I recognized when I went through this earlier in my life that I just needed to have water within arm's reach, and I would drink it. So my job was to pivot behaviors and situations where I had water within arm's reach. And that was the only change I needed to make. So I also had to come off drinking sodas, which I stopped. My last soda, June 30th, 2008, was a Coke in my dad's basement in Atlanta. It was the last soda I ever had. And I've been drinking water, and that's it. Like water, coffee, tea, those kind of things. What is it for you? When you assess over the last year, where you're rating yourself, what's going to pivot so you have your best year ever? Total side note, when I started hydrating regularly, I got rid of the dull headaches that I used to get, especially in the afternoons. I didn't recognize it then, but it was just through dehydration. It was crazy. That's it. Just some simple changes to make me feel better. And I hope this is helping you. Next is eating nutrient-rich 80% of the time. So what does that mean? Let's qualify it and then let's rate it. It means that 80% of the time throughout the week, you're eating fruits, vegetables, beans, hummus, anything that isn't beige. Well, hummus is beige, but like breads, no breads, or maybe 20% of the time you're having breads. Just healthy food that nourishes your body. Like for me, when I do that in day 3, I teach you how to make the kale smoothie, or the spinach smoothie. I think I didn't use kale. We call the high performance shake. Put in some protein powder, some other powders. We put it in and we blend it. In the video, it's kind of funny if you watched it. If you haven't, you can see it if you get into the 10-day challenge. I forget to put the cap on the actual blender, and I turn it on and I'm like this. I almost edited my face out of there because it was just very embarrassing. I left it in there for you. So if you want to see a treat, go in and take a look. Really critical though, as you think about having your best year ever, people report when they're 80% nutrient rich, they feel a higher level of energy, especially if they're in any kind of sports. They're a leaner, cleaner kind of energy. They don't have what I like to call glazed face from just eating so much processed food and refined sugars, and they're going after it. So my question for you in the last year, how have you done at eating 80% nutrient rich? Meaning well more than most of the time you're eating really good. 20% of the time, maybe pizza, lasagna, hamburgers, blah, 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 those kind of things. But 80% of the time you're owning it. And I know when I went through that change for me, that pivoted everything. Weight fell off, energy went up. I just felt good and I still feel good, and I hope you're sensing it. Cool? So for me, I'm gonna give myself an 8 because there's a couple trips that we took where I might have fell off just a little bit. Next up is exercise. And our job, from what we've studied in high performance and what we've studied in just the human body's physique, is that 2 times a week, we're doing moderate exercise for about an hour. That could be just a fast-paced walk. 2 times a week on top of that, we're doing 20 minutes of high-intensity work. So just so you have context for me, I go and I run 2 miles and I'll go work out and I'll walk fast. And that's consumes 60 minutes. I usually do that more than 2 times a week. But then 2 times a week, I haven't been living into this like I want to. This is my goal for making next year my best year, is to really own doing sprints in the park. And what that basically is where I run full out until I just can't run that fast anymore. My heart's beating, I'm breathing really heavy. And then I walk it completely off. Once I feel like, then I do it all over again. Maybe 5, 6 times. And it's about an 18-minute, 20-minute kind of situation. Does that make sense? And that's it. That's all. It's 2 60 minutes, so that's what, 2 hours, and then 2 20, so another 40 minutes per week. 2 hours and 40 minutes. Probably some prep time and, take a shower afterwards, that kind of stuff. So give yourself 4 hours a week to take care of your body at the baseline, as like Tim Ferriss likes to say, the minimum effective dose. But I'd love to know, as you think about exercise in the last year, how have you been doing there? And for me, that's going to be a 7. Because there's been some times when I was traveling where I didn't do the exercise. I did the walking, but I didn't do the HIIT as much as I wanted or at all. And then I didn't run as much as I wanted. So next year, it's just doubling down on that commitment for me. But I still do it pretty consistently, even when I'm on vacation or I'm out traveling. So just being real with you, owning this. What is that for you, though? And then we're pivoting that conversation again to make next year your best year. What behaviorally needs to change? What do you need to schedule? I challenge you to schedule your workouts. I want to see your calendar with workouts in it. You're willing to share them with me? Would love to know. Participation time. Are you committed to bumping up exercise or doubling down on it, or however you want to describe it? And what does that look like for you? Please share. I'm watching you. People who are sharing and adding value. You're in the runnings for some gift cards from Amazon. Love this interaction. Let's rock it. Next up is taking breaks. What we know about the highest performers is they take breaks every 50 to 90 minutes. They kind of just stretch. They energize their body. They meditate or listen to music for a little bit, just kind of get themselves out. They set intention about what they're going to do, and they go into their next time block, and they just feel a little emotional connection with life. If you're feeling like your days are just whipping by, then you're not taking breaks or not taking them the right way, where you really assess, connect with yourself, reflect, reset, rejuvenate. So as you think about the last year, on a daily basis, how often and how consistent have you been with taking breaks? And I've really been owning that. So I'm going to give myself, a 9 there. Because my body is so conditioned to that now. It's like, time to take a break. And I look, and it's usually right within the 50 to 75 minute realm. And I'm like, all right, cool. I step up. Maybe I'll go for a little walk. Maybe I'll just breathe it out. Maybe I'll do some energizers. Maybe a kettlebell swing. Maybe run down to the gym and do a power set. That kind of thing. And I come back and I feel recharged. And I have a new level of commitment to what I'm going after. And I set some intention. Does that all make sense? Oh, this is so good. How are we doing? You doing okay? Am I throwing too much at you? You feeling overwhelmed? Well, let's pause for a minute and think about that. If you've got a list of 50 things you got to do, at the end of this, we're going to break it down and show you how you can just go after the highest priorities, simple fashion, and own it. So just keep writing your list and don't stop because you think you got too much to do. I promise you, we'll break it down in a way that'll be easy for you to handle. Cool? I know we're covering a lot. And I want to thank you so much for your attention, your time, your energy, to really making that commitment, to making next year your best year, having that fun, feeling that vital energy, that vibrance, that zest for life, that reverence for life, that connection to spirit, to those you love, care for, and serve, and most of all yourself, because we know if we don't love ourselves, what? Can't love others. Freaking fantastic. All right, next up, happiness. Now, there's a bazillion ways to measure happiness, but the way I'm talking about is twofold. One is, are you around people that generally uplift you? And we kind of talked about that over here in relationships, right? Are you around people that generally uplift you? And two, for the entrepreneurs, thought leaders, the people building things, and maybe the people that aren't building things, just want to share goodwill in the world. Are you learning something new on a daily basis, creating something from what you've learned, and sharing that with the world? Learn, create, share, in that order. And that's what we call, or I call, the trifecta of happiness. Because when you learn something new, create from what you've learned, share it in the world. It could be as simple as you read an article and then you share it, your version of it, what you took away from it in Facebook, and then you press post. You learned, you created something, you shared. Just the people that do that on a daily basis, for no other reason than to help the world be better, report feeling more happy. You follow? So in the context for people around me that uplift me, learn, create, share, how have you been doing in the last year? 0 to 10. I'm giving myself a 9 here. Owning it. And this one can be critical, because if you want to have your best year ever next year, this is something you really got to dial in. And if you need help there, I'm more than happy to help you. Because some people are just like, I didn't even know that existed. I didn't know what I didn't know. I don't even know how that would work for me. And just a few great questions I can ask you, even through like email or Q&As or anything like that. We can own this for you and really help you elevate that sensation of feeling more happy. How's that sound? Awesome? I thought so too. Next up is finances. And we kind of covered this up here in profitability. But the idea that, you know what? In the last year, I've been building my net worth. I've been taking care of my responsibilities. And I've been having some fun. Like those 3 big elements, right? So how do you feel about that in the last year, if you were to rate yourself? And for me, that's a 9. Been really on that. Having great experiences, and these experiences are where I'm connecting with people that I haven't seen in a dozen years or more, because it's been one of my things for this year, was to make sure that I'm connecting with people that I haven't seen, because who knows what tomorrow brings, especially some of the older people in my life, and making sure that I'm doing that. But I'm also dialed in to making sure I'm living within cash flow. My good friend Mark always says, cash flow for life. Cash flow. We have expenses, they're usually monthly, quarterly, yearly. And we got to bring in the monies to pay the expenses. But our job as high performers, if I'm going to push you, is to really consider leaning out the expenses. I live a very lean life, a very full life. Thanks to 2006, the reading of 4-Hour Workweek, Tim Ferriss, taking 90% of his stuff, put it into storage, seeing if he could live with 10, freaking out for a little bit, and then being like, this gives me so much clarity and energy, just not having all this stuff. And I did that. And my challenge for you, if you want to have your best year ever, is to consider simplifying, creating more clarity, less overwhelm, less stress, and thinking it from the financial lens. If you need help there, I'm your man. More than happy to help you. But I'd love for you to share in the last year, what is that rating for you? And what are you committed to in the next year to make it your best year in light of what I shared or something else that comes to mind? And it could be as simple as saying, Char, I'm going to reach out to you because I need some help here. I don't really have a frame for what you just shared. And I don't even know how that looks behaviorally. All I know is I need some help. Next up is presence. Being fully present with who you're with yourself. I'm going to give myself a 9+. You notice I'm not giving myself a 10? I always think there's more work to be done. 9+ on that. Full presence, full engagement. Coming back up here, full joy with whoever I'm with, even if it's with myself. There have been a couple days in the last few weeks where I didn't get a lot of sleep. Fell out of presence pretty fast because when I'm tired, it's very difficult for me to be present. So I had to pivot, take 20-minute power nap, 20-minute meditation to bring that back, to bring the energy back online. You follow? I hope I'm giving you some good ideas in terms of that. The question for you, though, as we think about this ambition and then how it's been showing up over the last year, how present and engaged have you been? And maybe there's certain people that you're just not present with and engaged with. And I would challenge you to assess that at the relationship level. Is that somebody that I need to spend less time with? Do I need to create more friends that I want to be more present with, that we're engaged in similar values, similar things we want to go after? What is that for you? Good stuff? Kind of a breakthrough there? A lot of people report having breakthroughs in this work, in this particular topic. And I love it because there's like a question we ask in high performance coaching, something along the lines of, where is it where your body is hunched? and you're like hunched over and you're not breathing deeply. And I recognized it was in certain social situations for me. Then I did the analysis of that and I was like, oh my gosh, it's because I don't feel like I'm with my people. I need to not be in that situation. Does that all make sense? Hope that helps. I'm so happy you're here. So, any commitment for you on how you're going to bump up presence in the next year to make it your best year for you, for those you're around, those you serve, those you love, those you care for. Would love for you to share. I'm watching you. If you're in our live premiere of this training, I'm watching you and I can see and I'm taking notes to make sure we get some people some Amazon gift cards, because that's how we like to roll this in this training. Next up is purpose. Kind of comes right back up to what we talked about earlier. It's what I cover in the 10-day Health, Wealth, and Happiness Challenge on day 9. So, when you think about, and you already know the construct, purpose, helping others improve their lives somehow, or growing other people's businesses, or both, that's the big ones. Typically, people feel more purposeful when they're helping others. When you look at the last year, how are you rating there? 0, yeah. Purpose, what's that? 10, crushing it. Now for me, definitely a 9+. I always know there's more work, that's why I'm doing the 9+. But the idea is, I'm owning it on a daily basis. Like when I get in a car, I'm calling people, not just listening to music. I do listen to music, but I'm calling people. Not always, but get in there, it's like, you know what, I need to go through my list. I need to check in with my peeps, my family, my friends, those kind of things. Texting my friends and those kind of things on a daily basis. Just keep that connection, that purpose alive. Dude, how's it going? Is there anything I can help you with? That kind of stuff. And just connecting and creating and building, maintaining really great relationships. Very purposeful for me. So I would love to know, what are you committed to as you think about making the next year your best year in line of purpose? Anything show up for you? Share. I'm watching you. I see you. Even if you're watching the replay, share. Because I watch those comments, I see them, and I'll send some love out to you. I get notified of all of them. And then the final one, and this is really the tactics piece. If you watch the 10-day Health, Wealth, and Happiness Challenge, it's great to have all these big ideas, but how well are you doing at A, creating a daily plan? I usually do that work in Evernote the night before. I'll go over what I got to do tomorrow. And then B, executing on the daily plan. And I'd say C, reflecting on the daily plan so that you're thinking about the things I talked about from a productive perspective. Did my work this day, at the end of the day looking back, did my work this day move me forward or did it keep me equal? So for example, did I just go through and take the garbage out and do all the maintenance stuff that I got to do, the laundry? Or did I push beyond that and write a chapter or a page of that book? Or think about my strategy for how I'm going to help the world somehow, or reach out to people and just let them know I'm here for them and, book some time with them. That kind of stuff. Does that make sense? Just making sure that we're actualizing what we're teaching here. So for me, daily plan, I am going to give myself a 10 there because that's everything about who I am. That's how I move forward. That's how I'm here with you right now. Because I knew what I got to cover, put this all up. I was like, can we do this? Yep, let's go. So I know we've covered a lot. We've talked broad scope, big brush. Then we went in and we did some fine tuning. If you want to think of it in construction, we did the framing. Then we did the finished carpentry. Somewhere in between, we put drywall up and mudded it, painted it, all that kind of stuff. But this is the pieces. I hope you can sense, just from what we've covered, that you can make next year your best year. So I've got 3 more things to cover. This will be a little faster than what we've covered so far. Number 3, we teach this. I go over this with most, if not all, of my high-performance students. The Power 3. When you look through the lens of these elements, we ask these questions. What do I need to clean up and set up? Let me break it down for you. If I'm writing on the board, you should be writing in your notes. What do I need to clean up in any of these realms? And I would even add a couple more. Maybe throughout the physicality of stuff. Maybe the files, the papers in your office. Conversely, what do I need to set up? So think of it this way. What do I need to clean up to bring this year to a powerful close? Then what do I need to set up so I am in motion, have momentum to make next year the best it can be? A lot of people, they're like, I always have a stack of papers. So what they do is they just shred, remove, go through that stack of papers, and then they develop a new habit to handle the papers as they come in, shred them, scan them or throw them away or recycle them. Like it's just, they develop the habit like I have. As soon as papers come in, I handle them. I don't ever stack papers. You'll never see me have stacked papers. If there is a stack of papers, it's usually something I got to process within the next 24 hours. And it's a little longer task than what I can just handle when I have it. For example, I go to get the mail, it's like shred. Okay, that's got something I got to assess or do. Cool. It goes here. If it's going to take 10 minutes or more, then I usually go into a time block for that. I know I just threw a lot at you. That's the idea though. That's the habit I've developed. I position my life so that as soon as I walk into my office, there's the studio here, there's a scanner right there. I can just scan it. It goes right in the drop box and I can shred it or toss it, recycle it, whatever it is, it's out. Does that help? So I want to make sure you see some illustrations. Next, and this is the part I kind of touched on, is where do I need to level up? My personality, my being, what's the challenge for me to be better so I can make next year my best year? And what that basically is, in essence, is everything we've covered here. And you may have a list, 50 items, 20 items, 10 items, whatever it is. And what we're going to assess as we step into number 5 is prioritizing those things that are gate openers or keystone habits for others and handling one of them, now get this, one of them a week. Think of it this way. Let's just say from our journey so far that you've come up with 52 items. 52 total items that you need to handle. Holy moly, that's a lot. Well, guess how many weeks there are in a year? 52 weeks. So your job, and I think we'll just jump into number 5 and then we'll come back to this, is to create your vision, strategy, and plan, and of course to take decisive action on that plan. What does that mean? It means if you have 52 items, you're getting a vision. These 52 items are going to make next year my best year. Got it. All right, let me get some highlighters out. Let me get green ones, yellow ones, red ones, whatever you want. And highlight the red would be the things that I just need to own sooner rather than later. And maybe out of that 52, there's 3. Maybe there's 5. Those would be your next 3 to 5 weeks. One of them each week. By the end of next year, how are you going to feel if you brought consistency and energy and so on into those 52 items? Do you think you'd feel better? Do you think you'd have a better chance of making next year your best year? Isn't that amazing? How you can break it down? Just the way the calendar works? Sometimes people are like, you know what, Char? This sleep thing, that's going to take more than a week. And I know because I live that. So I'm dedicating one of my months to sleep. So by the end of that month, I've got great practices, hopefully a great habit in play. I've pivoted my life behaviorally to really go after great sleep. So maybe there's 12 that are your highest priorities, and you can put those on monthly. If you want to get really advanced, you got a big month goal, and that might be sleep. And inside that month, you have, we'll just break it down like this. Week 1, I'm going to concentrate on hydration. Week 2, I'm going to concentrate on eating better. Week 3, I'm going to concentrate on bringing exercise online. Week 4, I'm going to concentrate on taking breaks consistently. The whole month, though, I'm going to be concentrating on sleep. You see how this can stack? You see how this can elevate having your best year next year? And you can get started immediately. Like next year starts tomorrow, right? If you think about it, just next year can be tomorrow's demarcation line. Up to today is this year. Tomorrow is next year. Let's go. If you're committed to doing that, that's how that can play out. Is that pretty awesome? Oh, I hope you're loving this. Really powerful. What I want to make sure we cover, this is a great exercise that pairs well with creating a vision. And I don't know if you ever heard of it. You may have seen it as I flipped to that picture of me early on in my career years when I was huge. But it's called the Dan Sullivan question. And this is number 4. So let me write in the Dan Sullivan question. Get your notes out. This is something you're going to want to journal on. And if you're not a journaler and you don't like to write, you could just use a voice memo on your phone. You can use voice memo on your phone and just talk it out. Because your phone now, typically phones can transcribe, or you can go on TEMI.com and have this outpouring of what you're sharing around this question transcribed so you can kind of edit it and use it and mold it to creating a great vision, strategy, and plan that you can take decisive action with. So here's the visioning exercise. Dan Sullivan's a business coach, strategic business coach, and this has been used, talked about just this question. We can go on for hours with it. You're going to see the power of it. First piece, if we were having this discussion, and we can say 3 years from now, or 3 years from today, or we can just say 1 year from today. You can put in 1 if you want instead of 3. And you were looking back over those 3 years, what has had to have happened in your life to both personally and professionally for you to feel happy with your progress? What has had to have happened in your life, both personally and professionally, for you to feel happy with your progress? The beauty of this question, paired with this work in all these areas, is now you have a way to assess stuff. Now you have a way to think about it. Now you have a lens or a frame to look through. Does that make sense? A lot of people then, when they see this, they're like, it's too broad, it's too big, especially people new to self-improvement, personal development. My job is to help you think about these different areas, give you illustrations, challenge you on them, and really give you some of the fine-tuned stuff. Then think about this realm of the cleanup, setup, level up, Dan Sullivan question, and then work to create a vision, strategy, plan. I know that probably feels overwhelming, but it isn't. It's pretty simple. If you rewatch this training, you go through this, you develop, all right, do I got to do anything to sleep? Oh, no, I'm good. All right, cool, don't worry about that. Do I have to hydrate? Yeah, need to have water on me. All right, I'm going to allocate, the first week of next month to just making sure I get in the habit of having water with me. That makes sense? Then we do this visioning exercise to sort of paint the frame for what it feels like to have our best year, or best 3 years as the context is in the question. I wanted to maintain true authenticity with the Dan Sullivan question, that's why I kept 3 years. But in the context of what we're talking about, I would substitute 1 in these areas, 1 year. If we were having this discussion 1 year from today and you were to look back over that 1 year, then the question. Does that make sense? I hope that helps. This is so powerful. Let's take a breather. This ends the training part of this beautiful work. 5 powerful ways to make next year your best year. I would dare say ever, right? Now let's talk tactics. So let's go into the tactics piece, and it's pretty clear. Assess yourself weekly in all these areas. And I would challenge you, if you're up for that extra challenge, is to just reassess, like it's a living document. If you put this in Word, if you journal to this, if you put that in Word or in Pages on the Mac or in Evernote or on paper, that you're adding to it every week, kind of bouncing it around, because the more time you spend thinking about it, the more stuff will come up for you. Energy flows where attention goes. Follow? So that's the first one. Next, prioritize one change or one new habit, behavior for next week. Remember, there's 52 weeks in a year, 12 months in a year. That's where we take that decisive action, and hopefully that doesn't feel overwhelming for you. Is to say, all right, you know what? The first thing I got to dial in is my sleep. That's what I started with, and I got that dialed in. What I found is I had more willpower, and I had better command of eating, and I had better energy. So the other stuff was much easier to implement. If you ever read the book The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg, he talks about keystone habits that unlock yourself for building other habits. Sleep was a huge keystone habit for me. Cool? Third, continually journal and vision your best self each week. We kind of went over that, but it's just reassessing yourself in these areas and also answering that question or updating the Dan Sullivan question. And then fourth, I think you know the answer here, is to take decisive action. And if you need help sorting through any of this, my job on this beautiful planet is to be there for you, to assure that you have somebody that's like putting together the pieces, getting in what I like to call a vision, strategy, and planning session, where we just really sort this out for you. If you think that would be helpful, comment or message me or whatever, email me, and I'm happy to help you there. If out of this comes some goals for you and you want accountability on them, please email my goal at successacademy.us. That's an email address I set up so people can put their goals out there and verbalize them or type them up so that they can be seen by me and you can be held accountable to them. And the accountability is simply this: emailing me the goal and saying I'm going to do this by then, and then emailing me once it's done. I'm just watching you. That is a real high level of accountability. I'm happy to do that for you. That all being said, that ends the action or tactics part of our training. So adult learning theory says I got to review everything so to get that next level of integration. What we did today is we went over 5 ways to make next year your best year. We started big picture with the 5 P's: purpose, passion, positivity, productivity, profitability. Then we dove in, big scope, the life arenas, simplified version of the life arenas. We assessed ourselves in the previous year. What lessons have we learned that we can fold into the next year, and what can we do to amplify in each of these areas, to really go after being our best self for our best year. Then we did some fine tuning in the 10 areas. That's part of the 10-day Health, Wealth, and Happiness Challenge. It's linked below for you. If you want to get into that, have fun. It's fun because every day you're going to get an email and you're going to see a new video, and I'm in different places. It was so much fun to make. Third is that big question: where do I need to clean up by the end of this year, or by the end of this month, or by the end of today, or the end of the week? What do I need to set up so that I'm really going after? Great process, great momentum. I talked about how the papers come in and I handle them. I scan them, I shred them, I do them, whatever I need to do with them. Boom. Where do I need to level up? What behaviors do I need to change? Maybe I need some coaching. Maybe I need some help. This is a big one for me, and I don't know what that is for you, but need some help there? I'm your man. We're here for you. And then fourth, ask the Dan Sullivan question. Really consider that. That's a day workshop, just this thing. I've seen people do day workshops on it because they're breaking stuff down, much like what we did here in our training today. Then 5, create your vision, strategy, plan, and that's breaking down those things. The vision could simply be, I'm going to go after having these 5 P's in my life, and these are the things that I'm going to strategize around and plan. So what does that mean? It means that when you came up here and you said, I got to work on relationships. What are the specific things you're going to do? That's the planning. By when? And then taking decisive action. Kind of goes along with this guy. All right, this week I'm going to work on relationships. I'm going to make some calls every day. And by the end of that week, I'll bumped up relationships. I'll feel better. And maybe that practice will continue for me as I go through the next week, because I've built some skills, some competencies around it. Create your vision, strategy, and plan. Take the action. With that being said, thank you so much for being here. This marks the end of beautiful training, 5 powerful ways to make next year your best year. Remember, my job on this plan is to help you live into those 5 P's, to live more purposefully. I hope we've done that today. To live more passionately, more positively, more productively, and more profitably in a lot of the work that I do in the business world. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. Take care. Bye-bye.